Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Trishta Dridro Meba Sutokai Mebawa Supokayo Meba Anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me pra karma sutsa me citam shri yam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagava sarva tathagata Vajra mame muns Vajra bhava maha samaya sattva ahum pe eho shude shude soha yamo shude shude soha Ramo Shuddhe Shuddhe Soha Lamo Shuddhe Shuddhe Soha Bamo Shuddhe Shuddhe Eyam Ralambam Shuddhe Shuddhe Soha Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Muni Soha Om Ye Dharma Hetun Prabhava Hetun Teshin Tathagato Yavadata Teshin Chayo Niroda Evam Vadi Mahashramanaye Soha On Chenam Tamche Gyule Jung Tegyu Deshin Shekpe Sung Gyula Gokpa Kaimba Gechon Chembe Deke Chembe Jingilo Gechon Chembe Ngodruk Sol Gechon Chembe Trashisho Sangye Chodan Soge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chinso Give Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Sangye Druparish Sangye Chodan Soge Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsuchi Dagi Chinso Give Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Sangye Druparish Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Chancho Pardo Dani Keps Give Sonamgi Trola Pinchre Sangye Druparisho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge and enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, we have reached the part of the Guru Puja where we started actual Tsog, and then there is actually, as I said before, the Tsog offering itself is not part of the original text of Guru Puja. It is an addendum, but there are different moments during the Guru Puja where we can actually do the Tsog offering. Okay. Here now, we are doing it before the verse 84, which is the part where we do actually the meditation on the gradual path to enlightenment. So it's a moment in which we request the blessings to realize the gradual path to enlightenment, and where we actually meditate on each step. So by making the Tsog at this point, it means we put emphasis into requesting these blessings. For example, when we have long life puja, the Tsog offering is done before, just after where we do the secret offering. Okay, there's a special reason for long life to do there. It depends on the emphasis that we are giving. For example, if we would be to meditate, moment where we are meditating mostly on exchanging ourselves with others, on Tonglen, then at that point we can do the Tsog offering during that period on just before the part of Tonglen in the after verse, I don't remember the name, but part of meditation on Tonglen. Then, for example, let's say it's a period in which we like mainly to do practice of purification. Then we do the Tsog offering before Tome Dunamige Dikpele, before the part of purification inside the Guru Puja. So we can do it depending on the emphasis that we like to give. We can do the Tsog offering at different moments, okay? But generally we do at this point, which is after requesting the blessings, before we meditate on the gradual path to enlightenment, we do the Tsog offering here. So the first thing that we do is the purification of the Tsog offerings itself. So we have the first, normally we do the common verse of purification, which is the Oma Hong Owo Yeshela Namba Nang Chodan Choze Soso Namba Chile Wambo Drugi. Choyo to Dedongi Yeshe Kebra Chingebe, Sadam Pananange Kyontam Chiyonso Kebe, China Sawe Chotin Tem Chotin Chense Samgemi Kebe Kangwar Cure. Actually, which is the visualization of the offerings, which is by itself, the verse is quite clear actually. So if we just read the verse, the meaning is quite clear. It says, pure clouds of outer, inner, and secret offerings, objects which bind us closer, and fields of vision pervade the riches of space, sky, and earth, spreading out beyond the range of thought. In essence, they are pristine awareness. In aspect, the inner offering and the various objects of offering. Their function is to generate the extraordinary pristine awareness of voidness and bliss as objects to be enjoyed by the six senses. So basically, what happens is that we have in front of us what we call the external, actually presented offerings, and the mentally generated offerings. So the actually presented offerings is the actual fruits and the actual offerings that we put on the table. So these offerings, we multiply it to infinite. We visualize that they become an ocean of offerings, so vast and so pure. And the actual visualization that we do after that is described just below. But the important thing is that it states here, in nature, in essence, they are pristine awareness, which means in essence, the offerings are wisdom that realizes the true nature of reality. Okay, in essence, is the mind of a Buddha, is Dharmakaya. In essence, the offerings are the union of great bliss and emptiness. In appearance, the offerings appear as food, light, flower, water, and so on. And the function of these offerings is to generate a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness by being the objects, by giving pleasure to the six senses. Okay, so the text is quite clear. Their function is to generate the extraordinary pristine awareness, wisdom, of emptiness, voidness, and bliss as objects to be enjoyed by the six senses. So there is this great ocean of offerings in front of us. Then, together with that, we do the next part of the visualization, which is the actual purification, which is actually also inside the Om Ahum. The first 55 by itself, the whole meaning is already there of purification. But we repeat it once again in more details as we go from verse 56 to verse number 60, I suppose. Yeah, to verse number 60. And it says, Emaho, Yeshe rulpa che shingam tamche dorje shing, nenam dorje potranche kunsan chotinge sobar loncho dogu peldande. Chunam pawe pamungu madan trube miyame takbaram jamba shingo. These first two verses are the purification of the place where we are. So it says, Emaho, it's a verse of joy. It's like an expression of great joy. So Emaho, in the grand play of pristine awareness, all places are Vajra fields and all structures, majestic Vajra palaces, oceans of clouds of Samantabhadra offerings below forth. So, the place where we are is completely pure. When we say Vajra, Vajra literally means indivisible. It actually means diamond, literally. And the meaning of diamond here, it means indestructible, indivisible, non-dual. So it means the non-dual union of great bliss and emptiness. So the place is completely pure. The houses where we are completely pure also. So we are in the mandala of the deity. We are in a pure land. We imagine everything completely pure. And the text continues as saying, then there is an ocean of offerings. And it says, all objects are imbued with the glories of all wishes, which means around us, there are all the objects that we may ever imagine and desire, all the objects of pleasure and all the objects of joy, like everything that around us, it's all positive, it's all that gives us joy. And all the beings are actual viras and virinis, which means dakas and dakinis. All the beings around us, they are all pure, spiritually realized beings, male and female. There is not even the word impurity or flaw. All is but infinitely pure. Everything around us, we imagine it completely pure. There is no any even name of impurity. Everything, the environment, the houses, the beings living in it, everything, the offerings, everything is completely pure. Then, on the next three verses, we do the actual purification of the offerings, which says, Trokun nyershi chokun ngang lungme yoshin barwete migo gewe sumge kar tsenden toba kabalar zenam sosur barwar gyur teda tene hum kado siji sosobar lungyo mebar zenam shu kolwe lamba cheryope ige sumle weser tso chokchur chobe dorja sum dutsi shune chudanre sosor ige sum timpe dutsi shune chudanre chandon barche emaho Dögu pelvar gyatso kyur hum. So, hum. From the state of Dharmakaya, in which all mental fabrications are stilled, which means, first of all, there is the basis from the union of great bliss and emptiness, from the state of emptiness. Because the purification here is not the purification of the external object, it's mainly the purification of our own perception of it. So first, what we do is that we imagine that we meditate on emptiness, we meditate on the union of great bliss and emptiness. So from that state, which is from the state of Dharmakaya is the very subtle mind that realizes its own nature. It's the enlightened mind, but it's the true nature of our own mind. From the state of Dharmakaya, in which all mental fabrications, all the mental imprints and all the mental projections, they are completely pacified. All mental fabrications are stilled. Nyer shi in Tibetan. Nyer means completely, shi means pacified. So in the state of Dharmakaya, in which all mental fabrications are completely pacified, from this empty space, what happens? Appears first wind mandala. On top of the wind, which is half bow-shaped wind mandala, then on top of it appears a red triangular fire mandala. On each side of the triangular fire mandala, there is a human head that is holding altogether a big skull cup. So as it says here very clearly, on top of a turbulent wind and blazing fire, upon the crown of a tripod of three human heads. The first human head is white, the second one is red, the third one is blue. So the white head is like the one that has been already completely burned, so it becomes after that completely white and dry. The red one is the one just cut with the blood dripping from it. And then we have the blue head, which is the one that has been cut not so long ago, but some time has passed. So what happened is that the red is starting to decay, so it starts to get this dark blue color. The three heads, what do they mean actually? They mean, we call Namtar Gosum in Tibetan, it's called the three doors of liberation, which basically means three different ways of realizing the correct view of reality. So it means what is sustaining the Kapala. Above this, there is a big skull cup, as it says here. Within a proper human skull cup, the ingredients brilliantly appear one by one, which means above these three heads holding, there is a big human skull cup. And inside of it, there are the ingredients, which is the 5 nectars and the 5 meats. So, the skull cup, it's representing the bliss. Okay? The three heads holding the skull cup is representing emptiness. It's representing the correct view of reality we call the three doors of liberation. So, the skull cup is representing bliss because it's on our crown chakra that resides the white bodhicitta, which is the part of bliss. Okay? Male energy is the part of bliss, female energy is the part of wisdom. So, the skull cup is representing great bliss, the three heads representing the correct view of reality, so which means emptiness. Then the fire the wind blows, the fire gets bigger, it boils the 10 ingredients. The ingredients inside are actually the 5 meats, which is meat of dog meat, elephant meat, cow meat, human flesh, and horse meat. Then we have the 5 nectars, which are urine, excrement, blood, sperm, and bone marrow. Okay? So it's not so pleasurable, this whole thing. It's actually quite strange when we start looking at the whole thing. So, what does that mean? The 5 meats represents our body and mind. Represents the 5 aggregates. So sensation, discrimination, consciousness, composition of factors, and form, which is the body. While the 5 nectars represents the 5 wisdoms, the all-realizing wisdom, the wisdom of equanimity, the wisdom of Dharmadhatu, the wisdom of discernment, and the mirror-like wisdom. In other words, it represents body and mind. It represents the 5 aggregates and the 5 elements, okay, which are originally, like now, in an impure state. Then as it boils, it starts melting and it becomes like a big soup, colored like a brown, maroon sort of color, like a black tea, maroon black tea, and which starts to have a little bit of vapor, like steam coming out of it. And then on top of it, there is the Om Ahum. Okay? So this is symbolizing that actually our 5 aggregates and our 5 elements, they are transformed and purified. Okay? So based on that, on top of it, there is the Om Ahum, symbolizing body, speech, and mind. Then from Om Ahum, light emanates. White Om, red Ah, blue Hum. Light emanates, going to the 10 directions, going to every holy being, requesting their blessings of body, speech, and mind. So what happens is that the white Om receives all the white blessings of body, the red Ah receives all the red blessings of speech, and the blue Hum receives all the blue light, the nectar, bringing all the blessings of mind. After that, the Hum dissolves into the offerings, and as the Hum dissolves into the offerings, all the impurities of color, smell, taste, or form are completely purified. Then the Ah dissolves into the offerings, and it is completely transformed into nectar. Then the Om dissolves into the offerings, and all the nectar is multiplied to infinity. Okay? And the offerings become of the inseparable nature of the body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas. So the text is very clear about all this. It says, place above them the Om Ahum, each sparkling with brilliant colors, white, red, and blue. The wind becomes turbulent, the wind blows, the fire flares, the ingredients melt. From their boiling, tremble forth copious vapors. So the ingredients, which is the 5 nectars and the 5 meats, they melt and comes a sort of a soup. Then from that, they start going out vapor out of it. From the 3 letters, Om Ahum, actually the 3 syllables, profusions of light rays radiate out in the 10 directions, drawing back the 3 vajras of nectar, which means drawing back light and nectar, white, red, and blue, bringing the blessings of the 3 vajras, which means bringing the blessings of holy body, speech, and mind, which dissolve individually into the 3 letters, white, light, and nectar into the Om, red, light, and nectar into the A, blue, light, and nectar into the Hum. This melt into nectar and blend with the ingredients. This, which means the Om Ahum, they melt, they dissolve into the nectar below. First the Hum purifying, then the A transforming, and then the Om increasing them. Emaho, an expression of joy, becoming an ocean, glittering with the splendor of all that could be wished for. So it becomes a pure ocean of nectar, which has everything that anyone could ever wish for. So, like completely pure. Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum. Okay? So this is quickly the visualization that we do externally. One of the meanings of it is actually an internal meaning. It's the same like as when we do in self-healing, the E Yam Ram Lam Bam, which means the wind blows from our body into the secret chakra, entering into the central channel. The female energy of fire, which is in our navel chakra, also known in other traditions as Kundalini. The fire, by the fact that all the winds absorb into the central channel, the fire of Tumo, the inner fire, grows, goes upwards, melting the male energy of, or white bodhicitta of bliss in the crown. Then the bliss comes down like through the whole of our body and fills our body and mind completely with a sensation of great bliss. And through that we realize the union of great bliss and emptiness. So, this is the inner experience, which is described here through an external symbolism also. And there is one point which is important, is for us to understand that actually all these representations are not literal, they are representing something. Is here the transformation of body and mind into something pure. Okay? So we use this visualization to purify also the external offerings. Also, for example, when we eat our own food, we can make the same visualization in our own food. The wind blows, the fire grows, it purifies everything. Then there is Om Ahum, light emanates, reabsorbs back, dissolves into all the nectar, transforming it completely. So, this is a very common visualization. We had explained it before also when we did the blessing of the offerings and when we explained the inner offering again. Okay? One very important thing is that when we make an offering, and actually when we transform an offering, when we purify something, we have the tendency to imagine that we are purifying the external object. So let's say I take this hot water cup, and then I have the tendency that when I say, okay, I will purify it, I do some mantras, a spell, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, Om Ahum, and I do something, and I take an holy substance and I throw in it and something happens and then it becomes pure. Normally when we say, oh, we purify the offerings, we have the tendency that we are doing something to the actual external offering. Okay? But that's wrong. Okay? When we talk about the purification of the offerings, basically what we are purifying is our own perception of the offering itself. It's the way how we see the offering, because the external object doesn't exist independently of the observer. So, trying to make some example. I take this hot water cup. I can give it to different people. Let's say I give a hot water cup to one person that doesn't want any more water. This makes me remember one guy in Brazil. He went to jail, actually. He was guiding people through, he had some understanding on Ayurveda, and he was doing panchakarma, the process of purification of the body, but without having the right knowledge of doing it. And he ended up sending everyone to the hospital because they were like drinking tens and tens of liters of hot tea or whatever during the day. And they were doing very extreme way, not doing it in the right way. So imagine someone that has been being forced to drink liters and liters and liters and liters and liters of hot tea. And then you give to him another cup of hot water. Okay? And then you take another person that has not been drinking for days, and then you give him a cup of hot water. The cup, physically, the same. I can have the two persons sitting, one here, I put the cup in the middle. For each one of them, is it the same cup or is it a different cup? It's different. For one person is an object of attraction. I'm thirsty, how wonderful. For the other person is an object of aversion. And the actual external object is perceived in a complete different way because of the observer. It's similar to the fact like I am an ordinary person. I have a very, limited mind and way of perception of things. I have my own negative karma and so on. So my way of perceiving this cup, it's very limited. And ordinary and limited. And conditioned by my own karma. Okay? Then I give this cup to a Buddha. A Buddha comes and takes the same cup. How is the cup for him? Unlimited. He has a non-limited view. He has a pure view. So it's something completely pure because it's reflecting his own perception. Okay? So when we say that we need to transform and purify, as the text itself is quite clear when it says, from the state of Dharmakaya in which all mental fabrications are stilled, all mental fabrications are pacified, from that state I will generate something pure. So the point is that actually I am not changing the external object. I am changing my own perception of it. And why is it possible to change my perception? And by changing my perception, I change the actual object. Because the actual object does not exist independently of the observer. It doesn't exist inherently, objectively, by its own characteristics. It depends on causes, conditions, it depends on the imputation of the name. It depends on the observer. So, if I change my perception, the object changes. No? This made me remember, we had a friend staying here in Albagnano some years ago, and he would go in the winter walking from Albagnano to Be. And then what happened is that there is one point where there is a water source, and this sort of fontaine. And then always when he passed in winter, this fontaine was a little bit open, there was water coming out. And he would become nervous and angry, and he would say, look, people do not respect water, and what is this? So he would go there and close it. Then one day he was going there with another person, and he was about to say that. Then the other person came and said, oh, how lucky someone has been keeping it open. Otherwise, the pipe will get completely frozen and it will break. And then he was saying, oh, imagine what the person that has been keeping it open have said all the time that he went there and it was closed because I closed it, no? It depends how you see. So he said from that moment, his perception of that specific object changed completely. So whenever he passed and it was open, he would say, thank you, it was an object of attraction. What I want to say is that when our perception changes, the actual object changes. And when we say that we need to transform and purify something, it means that it doesn't mean that we are changing like for an alchemic process and we are changing the external object. We are changing our own perception of that object. and by that the object changes. So, when we say the cup dissolves into emptiness, it doesn't mean the cup is in front of me and suddenly it vanishes away and then suddenly something appears. It means the basis of imputation are there, but I take away the imputation that I give normally. I take away that inherent existing cup. And then on that, something else will appear. It's like if I take a sentence and suddenly I take out the meaning of all these letters put together. They become just letters together. And then I come and I give a new meaning to it. Okay? So, it is like also when we make the self-generation, that was the question, like when we generate ourselves as the deity. We do Om Sobhava Shuddha, Sarva Dharma Sobhava Shuddham. What is dissolving into emptiness is not that physically imagine that we disappear into nothing and then from nothing something else appear. There is a part of visualization, but the main thing is that self-existing identity fades away. And then from that appears ourself as the deity. When I make the offerings, for example, in Yamantaka practice or all the others, I do Om Reshtriya Vikritanana Humpe, Om Sabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma Sabhava Shuddha, Tomba Nidu Gyur Tombe Ngale Ale Jumetoba Yashinga Chavanam Ginado Hum Hum Shuvale Jumechu Shazatre Medudup and so on, which means Om Reshtriya Vikritanana Humpe, all the external interferences are eliminated. Om Sabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma Sabhava Shuddha. It Tomba Nidu Gyur, basically making it short. The offerings dissolves into emptiness. When I say the offerings dissolves into emptiness, it doesn't mean the physical thing melts into nothingness and from nothingness appears something else. It means my own perception fades away. My own grasping at it as being of inherent existence fades away. It's like take out the projection, take out the imputation of the name. And that on that same basis of imputation, we give a new imputation as something pure. I know it's clear this, but it's a big difference to do it in this way and to think that by making a special sacred words like a spell, what is impure will become pure. Because what happened is like, this makes me remember also one story I was just saying. In Tibet there was a monastery called Gyume. And I think between the 1920s, 1930s, I don't know, maybe in the 40s, around that period. There was a moment in this tantric college, this monastery, in which there were many monks that were not following well the rules, and that they were doing many things that they were not supposed to do, among them drinking a lot of alcohol, and going around messing up with girls and doing many things that they were saying that they would do that because they had the realization that they could transform everything into nectar. They were able to transform it. So, one day, they came to the puja, and then the abbot of the monastery, everybody came, and in the monastery, each one come with their own cup to drink the morning tea or the morning soup, no? So they came there early morning, and then the abbot, he ordered that instead of drinking the traditional soup, he ordered that they would go to the toilet, these Tibetan old toilets where things just accumulate there, no? So he made to cook the excrements and the urine, old, and he made a sort of a soup of it. And then he put on the cup of everyone, including himself. And then he said, there are many monks here who said that they transform things into nectar. And so please, if you're able to do that, you should also transform what I have just given you into nectar and drink it. Those that will drink it without any problem are allowed to continue their behavior. Otherwise, they will be expelled from the monastery. So at that point, some of them, being afraid of being expelled of the monastery, they try to drink this mixture of urine and excrement, old and so on, and they start vomiting and they couldn't do it. The abbot himself and some few other monks, they just take and they drink it naturally, without any problem. But I'm sure if he transformed his bowl into nectar and he gave it to me, I would vomit. Because the transformation is not in the actual object, it's in the perception. Okay? So, this is like when we offer something, and it can be the most simple thing, we can offer the most incredible thing. It depends on our own perception. It depends on the way how we see it. So everything dissolves into emptiness. What does that mean, that the offering dissolves into emptiness? It means that it lacks inherent existence, and thanks to that aspect, it's possible to generate it as something else. It's exactly because it lacks inherent existence that it's possible to generate it as something pure. It doesn't exist inherently as something impure or ordinary. So from that state of emptiness, from the lack of inherent existence, it appears as in nature. In the text itself, it's saying nature is pristine awareness. In nature, it's free of being good or bad. It's just pure awareness, but it appears as flowers, water, and so on. And it has the function of generating new bliss and emptiness by giving pleasure to the six senses. So, the point I wanted to bring, which is, if we get this point today, it's enough for the whole day. That when we talk about purifying something and something dissolving into emptiness, it's not meaning that it fades away. The meaning is you take away your own grasp at it as being of inherent existence. That fades away. And from that state of emptiness, from that appears the offerings. So when we purify our own perception more than anything else. And by purifying my perception, I purify the actual external object. Okay? I think it's quite clear. No? All right. So, after having made the purification of the offerings, we do the part that regards inviting the holy beings to come here. So, as we invite the holy beings, we have here 4 verses. In the original text of the Guru Puja, there are actually 2 verses. Here we have inserted, Lama have inserted another 2 verses, which is to put emphasis in one specific aspect. Okay, but it's fine even without that. So let's see it. We say, Tuje dani tsagyo lamadan yidam latsu kemne kuncho sum pawa kandro chogyon sumetso chinten chobe nedir shek su sol. Ramjan gyalwa kunge tinela maso gyalmo shija tsenso wa tsechi mebe wange chindena topa meba nyurtu shek su sol. Nintop shinge nami labchen kor losan tembe sokto chameshu tupten jewe drumin duzenche choki gyabo korche shek su sol china samwe choten gyatso rinchen ledru zebe denje la shabsen wecha tempra shune kyan Host of root and lineage gurus, yidams, host of deities, 3 jewels of refuge, viras dakinis, dharmapalas, and guardians of the teachings. I request you, who are in the nature of compassion, to appear and come to this offering site. So we invite to come to this place all holy beings, and we divide them into categories, basically. We say, the gurus and lineage gurus, which means the root gurus are the ones that we have received teachings directly. We have met physically. Then we have the lineage gurus, are all those that the teachings have come like gurus of our gurus and so on. Yidams is like Guya Samaja, Vajrayogini, Yamantaka, and so on. So Heruka, which is the deities of meditation. And a host of deities are the deities of the mandalas of the Yidams. For example, we have Guya Samaja and the 32 deities of this mandala. 3 jewels means Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Viras and Dakinis, Dakas and Dakinis, are pure beings with a subtle body that gives a positive influence for our own spiritual practice in the male and a female form. Dharmapalas, guardians of the teachings. Actually, Dharmapala and guardians of the teachings are the same thing. Here in the text, in the translation, is put as 2 separate things. Dharmapala and guardians of the teachings. Actually, Chogyong and Sungma. Chogyong Sungma, I believe, is the same. I may be wrong, but I'm quite sure it's the same. Which is Dharmapala. Dharma means is the Dharma, the spiritual path. Pala means Kyongwa, means to protect, to sustain. So it means protector of the Dharma. What is the Dharma? It's our own inner, the Dharma is in our own mind. It's the development of our inner qualities. It's our inner practice of developing love and compassion and wisdom and so on. So there are those that are protecting it. Summa means protector, literally, guardian, protector, okay? So, I request you to come here, protectors of the Dharma, Dharma Palace, you who are of the nature of compassion, to appear and come to this offering site. Then we have here, actually, we make the invitation specially for two types of protectors of the Dharma. But I just want to try to explain to you a little bit why we do that. Okay? Generally speaking, in life, there are three types of interferences. An interference is a negative interdependence that takes us away of our path. That's an interference. Something that diverts our mind from the spiritual path to something else. Okay? So, there are external interferences, internal interferences, and secret interferences. External interferences are divided by people. For example, there are what we call in Tibetan tropongemba, which means like bad friendship. What we mean when a friendship is not good. Even it can be very pleasurable. But if by being nearby to that person, that influences me to get away and far away from my own spiritual path, that's not a good influence. So that's a friendship to avoid. Okay? So this is an external interference, for example. Then there are those that are not even friends, people that by being near to them, we get angry and nervous and whatever reason, so it becomes an interference to our path. The main point is not if we get nervous or angry. The main point is that if by being near to that person and that situation, I get more far away from my own spiritual path, that's an interference. Then, there are external interferences, which are also like from the environment, okay? I want to do my retreat, but then it gets too cold or it's too hot and I'm not able to meditate or whatever. This is an external interference. Then there is external interferences, which is also can come in the form of sicknesses and things like this. There is the external interferences, which are spirits, subtle forms of life, which gives a negative influence to myself and my mind, taking me away from my Dharma practice. We will talk more about this. Then there is the internal interferences, which are our mental defilements and the blockages in our subtle body. Okay? So if I have energy blocks, this is inner interferences, and our own anger and jealousy and pride and miserliness, these are all forms of inner interferences. Then we have secret interferences. Secret interferences are situations and things that happen in our life, interdependencies, interactions that appear to be positive, but actually put us away from our own spiritual practice. So there is something that looks like very good, it's not bad, but it puts away from our practice. Okay? So this is an inner interference. Let's say there is a moment in our life in which we are very peaceful and we are making our practice and everything is very good. Then suddenly we have a very high recognition in our job. And we have, how good, I have someone give me a better position in my job. I have a better payment. Oh, how wonderful. But then I get overwhelmed by that and I'm not able anymore to meditate as before and I lose even some qualities I have gained. So something that appears to be positive becomes negative because ultimately it's harming me in my spiritual path. So that's a secret interference. Okay? So, this is what are called secret interferences. Regarding the external interferences, we need to try to avoid them. The inner interferences, we need to take good care of our health and try to have a healthy mind, so practice the Dharma well. Secret interferences, we need to pray because not so easy. We need to be aware. It's more careful, it's more difficult. That's why they're called secret. It's more difficult to understand. But the external interferences,
there is this subtle part. The subtle interference is basically there are forms of life which are very subtle. There is one part which can be like astrological interferences. There is an interdependence between us and the planets. This is, for me, a fact. And then, basically, if we even look from a more, pragmatic point of view, every planet have their own, gravitational field. And we are influenced very much by gravitational fields also, between each other, between the planet and the moon and all of this. We can see how much our own emotions are influenced by the moon. It's very clear because of the very strong gravitational field that is there and so on and so on. Anyhow, then there are also forms of life that don't have a gross body, subtle body, which is like spirits. Okay, in English, I don't know many other words. In Tibetan, we have different words, but we tend to call them spirits. The fact is that we are influenced by them. Depending on the type of spirit that I have near to me, it will influence my mind positively or negatively. It's the same way like when I am near to people. If there is a person that has a very positive mind and I am near to this person, I am positively influenced. If I am near to a person that is very angry and very negative and very low energy, I get influenced by that also. Okay? But because we cannot able to see these sorts of spirits, there are some precautions that we can take by ourselves, and then we need help from someone else. So, the precautions that we can take is, for example, that spirits are also called trisa in Tibetan. Tri means smell, sa means to eat. Smell eaters. That's another name that is given for spirits. So, one type of spirit that gives negative influence to us, they are nourished and they are attracted by smells that are, for example, from alcohol. But it's mainly connected to drinking alcohol, actually. It's not like having the alcohol, because sometimes people ask, but if I make the sirkyam, am I attracting this type of spirits? No. It's connected very much to the fact of drinking the alcohol. And then there is the tobacco and drugs, especially. So some types of behavior from our side, we attract this type of spirits. And what's the problem? They influence our mind negatively. Okay? So basically there are few behaviors that attract this type of spirit. Is drinking alcohol, smoking and using drugs, and having a high level of promiscuity, sexual misbehavior. So these three types of behavior have the attributes that influence our mind negatively. Okay. On the other side, for example, when we have incense, the way how Tibetan incense is made, like the one of Ganchen that we use, many ingredients that are put inside are taught not because of the smell itself, but because some good types of spirits, they are nourished by that type of smell. So it's a way of creating a positive, subtle environment also. That's why in Tibetan tradition, when we burn incense and we talk that it's purifying the environment, it's not only the physical environment, it's the subtle environment of those beings that are living there. Okay? And when we intoxicate the environment, for example, with tobacco, it's actually, we are intoxicating it not because of the smell and, it's not good to smoke around the center because of the smell and because socially it's not nice or whatever. It's because we send away these pure beings that are invited to the place. Okay? This is the reason. Okay, so it's quite serious actually. Anyhow. Why do we need protectors of the Dharma? We have protectors of the Dharma because there is these subtle beings which are, let's say, negative, that give negative influence to us, and they influence our mind. It's like when someone has a strong influence by a negative being, like this person ends up having thoughts and emotions which are not natural from the person himself. But this is normal even when we are nearby to someone that is very negative mind. We are influenced by the person. No? Similar to that. Okay? So, and this just made me remember in Brazil we have one saying. Because in our Western culture, like in Brazil, we have very strong culture coming from the Afro-Brazilian religions and other ways also of this part of spirits and this type of thing. Very normal to talk about all of this and to have this understanding. But in here, I see in Italy and in Europe, it's not so common to have this type of understanding. But in Brazil, we even have a saying that when two people meet and they go well to each other, they say, oh, our saints matched. Which means the spirits that we carry with us, they matched. So we feel attraction. When you meet two people meet and they don't match, there is no good feeling. We say, oh, our saints didn't match. Which is a way of saying, I didn't know. It's not a way, because it's not, I didn't like you. I have no specific reason for not liking you. But I see you and there is no connection is not there. Something not so good. So sometimes this is said to be because the spirits that we carry with us, they don't get along between themselves. It's like if we have an entourage with us and our entourages don't get along, so we have problems in that sense. But the main point that I want to bring is that there is this subtle world of spirits, let's call it like this. So we ask protectors, which are pure beings that manifest themselves into a subtle body in order to protect the practitioners of Dharma from subtle interferences. Because the more we practice Dharma, the more our mind becomes more sensitive. The more we can feel the influence from negative spirits, for example. If we are completely a mess ourselves, emotionally, energetically, and so on, we don't even feel the influence. Because we are a mess by ourselves. When we start to be more pure, when we start to be more careful with our own behavior, with our own attitude, our mind, and we start to practice Dharma better, then we feel more the negative influence. So, based on that, it is really the fact of inviting the protectors, and in this case we have two specific protectors that are related to our own lineage, which is Panden Lamo and Dorje Shukden, which is because these are the protectors, others also, but the two main protectors of our own Guru, Lama Ganche Rinpoche, and that which come from his own lineage also. Okay? If we look also in the long life prayer written by Tricha Rinpoche, it's making reference specifically to Panden Lamo and Dorje Shukden also. Anyhow, we invite them. Panden Lamo is an emanation of the Buddha of wisdom in the female form of Sarasvati, and Dorje Shukden is an emanation of Manjushri, the Buddha of wisdom. And Sarasvati and Manjushri, they are together. Sarasvati is the consort of Manjushri. So there is also special connection between Panden Lamo and Dorje Shukden also. Okay? Anyhow, we request the presence of the protectors. Why? To protect us from the subtle interferences that may come to our mind. We do not invite protectors because we want money, because we want fame, because we want power, because we want revenge, or whatever other stupid idea we may have. Okay? We request the protectors to do their actions of pacification, of increment, of power, and of rightful actions in order to protect our mind from the negative influences that we may have, from negative interdependence. So to create positive, subtle conditions for our own spiritual practice. Okay? I think it's quite clear, no? So here we will invite first Panden Lamo, and we do this by the verse. Regarding 61a, regarding the virtuous activities of the innumerable victorious one, you, who are called Parvati Rani, Panden Lamo, exist, I invoke. You exist. I invoke you with unequivocal concentration. I request you to come here quickly and without obstacles. Then we invite Dorje Shukden, as we say. With your power, Shuk, it means power, you have assumed a great responsibility that others cannot assume, which is the responsibility of maintaining pure the teachings of Dharma, especially those of Lama Tsongkhapa. You, venerable holder of the Vinaya, without comparison, because that Dorje Shukden manifests him dressed as a pure monk. That's why he said venerable holder of the Vinaya. Without comparison among the 10 million powerful ones, possessor of the strength needed to maintain alive the doctrine of Sumati Kirti. Sumati Kirti is Lama Tsongkhapa. I request to you I request that you come here with your entourage. Your entourage in this case is the 10 rightful ones, the 8 monks, and the 9 mothers. Okay, plus the other 4 emanations of Dorje Shugden, which is like the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, okay? So we request to come to this place. So we visualize in front of us, the next verse it says, place your radiant feet firmly upon this elegant throne, formed of jewels amidst an ocean of clouds of outer, inner, and secret offerings. Grant us who are striving for supreme realization the powerful attainments that we all wish. So what are the attainments that we wish? We should attain the mundane attainments. The mundane attainments, basically, what we need is having the right conditions to practice Dharma. So we need to have the right conditions to practice our own path. And the main attainments that we need, the realizations, is to realize the mind of great love and compassion and wisdom, bodhicitta, correct view of reality, to have the realizations of Dharma. That's the main goal. Okay? So please create the conditions so that we may be able to attain our realization. So this is the request that we make. And in the verse here, 62, we are requesting the blessings of all the gurus, Buddhas, Dakas, Dakinis, protectors of all the holy beings. Okay, bodhisattvas, everyone is included here. So after that, we do the actual verses of offering. Okay? I think it's quite clear, no? So, after we have finished inviting the holy beings to come to this place, we start with the part of doing the actual offerings. So we will just go through this now briefly, and then we will conclude for today. So, we have here ho tinzing adan chage chinla pe samin de sochu gezu de tsagyola me sonam ni chibur a hundogu pela robe tinzine ema ho chinlab church up to sol. We have different offerings that we make to different holy beings. And depending to whom we make the offerings, it has a different interdependence that we create, okay? So the verse is basically the same, just 2 parts of the verses change. So we say, ho, which is also an expression of joy. But just one thing I would like to say before that, sorry. I am explaining the offering of the Tsog based on my own personal understanding. I have never read or I have never received an explanation myself about it, okay? I've never received a commentary on the Tsog. Normally, whenever we receive commentary on the Guru Puja, there is never given, at least I have received 3 times commentary on Guru Puja. One time by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, one time by Rinpoche, and one time by His Holiness Kyabche Dragon Rinpoche. And in all these 3 times, I've never received the commentary of the Tsog offering. So, I'm just explaining because we do a lot of Tsog here, and I'm explaining based on my own understanding. So, sure, there are many aspects which are there, and I am not explaining basically because I don't know them. Like the rest of the Guru Puja, there is the commentary that I have received, and I like to read the commentary. So, even there are points which I may not remember, I may not know, I can go there and check. In this case, there is not. I have never read a commentary on the Tsog, and I've never received it. So, I'm just sharing some knowledge and understanding with you. Okay, trying to make it clear. So, ho is an expression of joy. And we say, ho tinzing adan chage chin lapes, this ocean of offerings, Tsog, of Gana Chakra, of uncontaminated nectar blessed by concentration samadhi, mantra and mudra. So I am offering this ocean of offerings which were blessed by concentration, mantra and mudra. We offer in order to please you. I offer this so that may you be pleased. Who? Host of root and lineage gurus, direct and indirect gurus. Ahom, they receive such offerings, and by that they enter into a state of great bliss and emptiness. Contented by your sport with all these splendors that could be wished for. So they feel completely fulfilled by having received these offerings. So I make these offerings to Guru Buddha, in this case to the gurus of the lineage, They are completely fulfilled in the state of the union of great bliss and emptiness. Emaho, which is an expression of joy. Please let fall a great rain of blessings. So from the gurus, we receive the blessings. Okay? Then the next verse, we make the offerings to all the yidams. Yamantaka, Guyasamaja, Heruka, Vajrayogini, Kalachakra, Manjushri, Kurukule, Tara, Manawa. Like this we can go on and on and on, okay? Many, many, many others. So we offer to all the yidams and all the deities of the mandalas. And by that we receive bliss, a rain of powerful realizations, of great attainments, siddhi. Modrup charche. Modrup, it means realizations. Okay? Actually here the word great is not there in the Tibetan. There's the great rain of realizations, of siddhis, which is realizing renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view of reality, realizing the different realizations of the generation and completion stage, the control of our subtle energy winds, and so on. These are all realizations. Then in verse 65, we make the offerings to the three jewels. So if we offer to the host of precious jewel of refuge, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, and by that, by offering to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we create a positive interdependence to receive the sacred Dharma. So Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, what's the result of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha mainly? Is the practice, the realization of Dharma. Buddha is the one that shows me the Dharma is the actual teachings and practice, and the Sangha is the one that gives me the support during my practice of Dharma. So by making offerings to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I receive the Dharma. Then after that, we make offerings to the protectors, generally speaking, all the Dharmapalas, all the Dharma protectors. Here we have Kala Rupa, Mahakala, Lama, Dorje Shukden, and like this we can go on and on. Many, many, many other protectors. Satrap, whatever, many protectors there. So we offer to all the protectors, and what they give to us, here is a mistake in the translation. It should be like in the next verse. In the verse 66a, it says, please grant us divine actions. That's the correct way, okay? This is when it says here, please let fall a great rain of virtuous conduct. Nothing to do with virtuous conduct. It's divine action, it's pure action. Actually, the right translation is a mixture of the two lines, because please let fall a great rain of divine actions. That's the correct way. Please let fall a great rain of divine actions. That's the correct way of translating it, okay? What are the divine actions? Because the protectors, when we create an interdependence with them, as a result, they perform the four actions, which is the action of pacifying by eliminating the conflicts, the action of increasing the positive qualities and aspects, the action of power, which means to influence positively our mind and others, and the wrathful action, which means to oppose to negativities and interferences. Okay? So we ask, please do the four divine actions. And here we offer first all the protectors in verse 66, then 66a we offer to Pandalamo, verse 66b we offer to Dorje Shukden. Then on verse 67, which for me is actually one of the most beautiful verses of this part, we offer to the host of sentient beings who have been our mothers, and by offering to them, we visualize that they all get fulfilled and they get free from their own ignorance, and by that they are free from suffering. So the verse says, Trulnam dungal shigyurchik. Trul means illusion. Nang means appearance, illusory appearance. Dungal is suffering. Trul nang, the suffering that comes from illusory appearance. Shigyurchik, may it be pacified. May the suffering that arrives from the illusory appearance be pacified. What is the illusory appearance? It's the grasping at inherent existence. Phenomena appear as being of inherent existence, and sentient beings believe in it. And from that they act with anger, jealousy, pride, and so on and so on. So, the translation here says, please pacify the suffering that arise from deceptive appearance. Okay? So we dedicate, may through these offerings all sentient beings be free from their ignorance, and by that may everyone be free from suffering. So, with this, we make this, we conclude this part of making the offerings. Normally we recite this 3 times. Then there is a possibility, which is not necessarily, to make the short Tsog offering. We can make it a minimum of 3 times, or we can make it 100 times, or 1,000 times, which in essence, the short Tsog offering, it's actually, a repetition of what we have just offered. And it's like the riassunto, how to say that? The condensed version of the Tsog offering we have just done. It's quite long if we need to recite like for 108 times. That would be way too long, no? So we have the short version of the Tsog offering, the condensed version. So the visualization and the meaning is what we have just done before. We offer first to the Guru, then to the Guru from whom we receive the blessings, the Yidams from whom we receive the realizations, to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha from whom we receive the Dharma, to the protectors general and specific from whom we receive the sacred, the divine actions, the sacred actions of pacification, increment, power, and Rattfu actions. And we offer to all sentient beings by which they are completely free from suffering, by being free from their own ignorance. Okay? So this is something that we do, and why we repeat it many times. Because one way, it's a way of generating positive energy, because the main way of accumulating merit is by giving. When we give to a holy being, it's called an offering. When we give to a sentient being, it's called an act of generosity. Okay? And the best way of accumulating merits, of accumulating positive causes, is by giving. And the act of giving is a mental act, it's not a physical act, first of all. So as we visualize the offerings and we offer to all holy beings and we offer to all sentient beings and we rejoice about it, this is a very strong way of accumulating merits. And we need a lot of merits. That's why we recited merit a long time. Because to create also the space for us to visualize it and to concentrate and to generate the energy for that also. Okay? And this is a moment, as we recite the verse, a moment which is sacred. We are not supposed to be talking in between. And it's a moment of communion. It's a moment where we are together with all the holy beings and the sentient beings, and we are sharing together and offering to everyone. So it's a very precious and beautiful moment. Yes. Yes. Tsog gikorlo, Tsog kor in Tibetan. Gana is Tsog, chakra is korlo. Okay? Tsog means assembly, gathering. Gana. Chakra means wheel or circle. Okay? Yes, Turla. Shuk is power. Then it means to have. To have. That has powerful, the powerful. That has power. Have then means to have. Shuk means power. Okay? It's similar to Rinpoche's name, like Gangchen. Chen means to have. Kang means snow. Snow. So the Himalaya is called that always has snow. Kangchen, that has snow. Okay, so this is the way how in Tibetan it's functioning. The name Gana Chakra, as I explained this morning, it's also coming because in the original time, there are many meanings for this name. It's very many different levels of the meaning of this name. But in the very beginning, like in India, more than 1,000 years ago, this tradition never came to Tibet. But the guru would sit in the middle, and all the disciples would sit in circles around, in the form of a lotus flower with many petals, forming the right number of, and we would sit in the position with the deities according to the mandala of the practice. So this also is a gathering in circle. That's also the meaning of it. No? It's actually quite beautiful, no? Anyhow. Yes, Tupla. Yeah. No, we can do the Guru Puja according to Heruka, to Guhya Samaja, or to Yamantaka. We can do it according to each one of them. The reason why the Guru Puja is based on Guhya Samaja is because the way how we visualize the merit field is based on the mandala of Guhya Samaja. We visualize in the body of Guru Buddha, we visualize the full body mandala of Guhya Samaja. But we can also visualize the Guru Buddha inseparable of Yamantaka, or inseparable of Heruka, or Guhya Samaja, or Tara, or Medicine Buddha, and so on. Basically, it's this. So very briefly, I just read this part of the text as it says, this brief Tsog offering. I offer this Gana Chakra of uncontaminated pleasures to the assembly of gurus, yidams, true jewels, dakinis, and protectors, bound by vow. Protectors bound by vow means the protectors of the Dharma, that have protectors that have a commitment to protect the Dharma, deities that have a commitment to protect the Dharma, which basically is Dharmapala, it's the same thing. Especially to Parvati Rani, which means Parvati Rani is Pandellamo in Sanskrit, and her retinue, and to you, great King Dorje Shukden Vajravegavan, supreme protector of the doctrine of the Gendempa, which means the Gelupa tradition of Lama Tsongkhapa, and the whole assembly of under your command. So I especially make request to the Guru, the Buddhas, the Dakas, the Dakinis, protectors of the Dharma, especially to Pandellamo and Dorje Shukden. I request that you accept this offering, so that the tradition of Je Tsongkhapa, of Lama Tsongkhapa, is diffused in the 10 directions. So may, by the merits of these offerings that I make, may the tradition of Lama Tsongkhapa, which means actually the teachings of Buddha. When I say, may the lineage of Lama Tsongkhapa, the teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa, it's no different than the teachings of Buddha. The teachings of Lama Tsongkhapa is a way, a lineage to which he makes more clear, but it's nothing different than the actual teachings of Buddha. Okay? Please eliminate all outer, inner, and secret obstacles. We have just before spoken about outer, inner, and secret interferences of mine, of those and those of all teachers, disciples, and benefactors. So please, may any interference, external, internal, or secret, of myself, of my gurus, of my friends, of my benefactors, of anyone, may all of them be completely purified and eliminated. Please annihilate enemies and those who harm and interfere, and quickly grant us all our wishes. Which means, which are the enemies that needs to be eliminated? Fear, jealousy, pride, miserliness, anger, insatisfaction, instability, selfishness, and so on. Okay? These are the main enemies that needs to be eliminated. So please grant me the conditions to eliminate all the enemies that I have, and may any positive wish that I have, the wish to develop renunciation, the wish for the long life of the gurus, the wish to spread the Dharma, any positive wish that I have, may all be fulfilled without obstacles. Okay, so this is the essence of what we make in this prayer that we repeat. The part of offering to sentient beings, it's also there, even though it's not put specifically in the text here, but this is the brief version of what we have just said before, so actually it's inside. Actually, it goes in the text where we say, please grant all our wishes, and our main wish is to help sentient beings, so actually it is inside there. Okay? So this is just as we do this conclusion. Okay, so I would say we can conclude here. Then tomorrow we will continue through the Tsog offering to the presiding master, the song of the spring queen, and then after we have the long life prayers, protector puja. We'll go through all of this. Okay? I think we can go through that tomorrow. Okay? Jetson lame kotse rapten chi namkaratin le chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi
Drove Michel tatu ne gyurci. Nimo dele tsendele, nime kuyan delekshin. Nintsen takto delekpe, koncho sumke chingi lop. Koncho sumge ngodrup tsol, koncho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.